Good morning and welcome to Apex Online Racing. We're here today for the final round of Season 2 of PS4 Oceania here in AOR. And yeah, we're here in Brazil, Interlagos. Fantastic circuit, personal favorite of mine. Always one that throws up some fantastic racing. And well, we're going to see something a little bit different today, I think, from the drivers. The preferred strategy coming into this race looks like it's going to be, at least from the super soft tires, a two-stop strategy. So something different from what we've seen in the rest of the season. Obviously, F1 2017, well known for its one-stop strategies and relatively low tire wear. But this race might throw up something a bit different, but don't count out one or two people trying a one-stop. In terms of the tires, we've got the super softs, the softs, the mediums here today, and a super soft medium, it's very very tight on tire where you're going to be at a risk of a puncture really at the end of both stints, but it is possible. And then those starting outside the top 10 may go for the soft medium strategy, which might be the preferred strategy starting outside of the top 10, but again, even that might be quite close on tire wear if you're tough on your tires, and generally somebody that's a little bit harder on the car. My name is Alex, so some of you might know me as Curly. I'll be doing the broadcast for you today, and unfortunately my co-commentator Dom is not available this afternoon, well this morning, because he's got some family commitments. So yeah, hopefully we'll have him back in the commentary box for season 3 it would be on Oceania on F1 2018. Obviously for these drivers it's their final race on F1 2017, and they'll probably be putting up hanging up their pads and wheels for a little while until the until the new game comes out. So yeah, just some notes on the championship and the way things are looking. Obviously, we had our title decider last time out in the USA with Maznat87 winning the championship over Dubsy. Dubsy not able to defend his crown from last season, but yeah, phenomenal seasons from both of those guys. Maznat was able to get himself 33 points ahead, so he is the champion. Dubsy is safe in P2. Sir LJB is safe in P3. And then Contrast is also safe in P4. So those positions are all sorted and can't change. There's too much of a points gap between each of those drivers to make any real difference. We do have some fighting going on lower down though, and in the midfield. We got Stylen in 5th place with 94 points, but he is likely missing this race. I'm not seeing him on the grid. He did mention in the chat that he might be missing this one. So 15 points behind him is Prying Stingray. So yeah, Stingray, we've seen him up there on the podium at more races than not. He needs 15 points because Stylen has won 2 races. Stingray doesn't have a win. So Stingray, if he finishes 1st or 2nd today, can nab P5 in the championship off of Stylen, which would be a phenomenal performance from Stingray considering he only joined halfway through, though Stylen wasn't quite here for the first 2 rounds either. Those guys have done a great job. We've also got Grunning Tortoise in 7th place with 72 points, so he's only 7 points behind Stingray, and just behind him is Wimpinator with 69. So those 3 are in a really tight battle. We'll keep an eye on that, and these positions in the middle of the championship really matter because for the drivers going into season 3 on F1 2018, their position in the championship this season will impact their car choice for next season. So if there's a particular car that you want to drive in the next season of AOR, you've got to get yourself as high up the championship as you possibly can to give yourself the opportunity of getting that car pick, and also gives you some flexibility in terms of teammates. If you've got somebody that you want to team up with and you're both higher up the pick order, then that makes things easier. Whereas if you're, both in the bottom half of the pick order and you're trying to team up together, then that might be difficult for you. Just got to hope that spaces are left in the cars at that point. But yeah, for those drivers, there's quite a lot to fight for here, and obviously some bragging rights as well. So you can win this final race of the season, or just finish above your mate in the standings. Then we we got Rumble in 9th on 60 points, Entei in 10th on 53, Harry Tomato on 46, Pure Gold 36. Then we got quite a good scrap in 13th, 14th, and 15th with Stuart McKenzie, Chucky, and Crema on 19, 17, and 15 points as well. So yeah, I would maybe expect to see Stuart pick up some good points here today. He's had a very inconsistent season. We saw him with phenomenal debut in Hungary, but he's only scored 1 point since with a lot of DNFs. So yeah, he could do with a good result here today in Brazil and propel himself. No, he'll have a hard job getting himself higher up in the championship, but he can at least hold on to that 13th place. And a little lower down, we've got Rizek in 16th with 2 points off of that. Fantastic result for him in Austria. Then Debros with a single point. Again, a fantastic result from him in Singapore, grabbing him that point. And then we've got 3 drivers without a point so far this season, and that is Spilly, Azatak, and Jordan. I know that Jordan is away today, so yeah, might give an opportunity for one of those guys to grab their first point of the season and get themselves off of the sort of clean slate there. So yeah, Brazil, it's one of the shortest tracks on the calendar. You know, lap times underneath 70 seconds, maybe just around about 70 seconds in the race. And it's a challenging track for the drivers in a technical sense. It's can be quite difficult in the brakes in particular. This is a real test of a driver's trail braking around this circuit. Setup options can be quite difficult. It can be a track where, you know, there's certain areas of the circuit where you're going to want straight line speeds, and you know it's quite a high speed track, and the slipstream around here, even on F1 2017, is fairly strong, so that would lean towards running lower wings. But however, it's a very rear-limited track. All of the drivers will be suffering more with rear tire wear than front, so you can't take too much of that rear wing off of the car, because if you do that, you're going to have some serious tire wear issues of the car sliding around underneath you, and then you're going to come under fire from those behind. I do have confirmation that the race looks like it's going to be wet, so yeah, I think we're in first qualifying. Looks like it's going to be dry right now, but looking just up at the skies and around the circuit, we can see that, yeah, it's pretty cloudy. So a couple of these guys diving out of the pits immediately. We got Marksman out here, we've got Tortoise, he's already in the middle sector. And for these guys, you know, they're out of the pits so quickly. That leads me to believe that, you know, possibly we might have some rain towards the end of this qualifying session. So we'll keep an eye on that. You know, it's pretty cloudy. You know, conditions could change, but we should have a full wet start to the race, with the rain generally easing off as the race continues. Then we might finish in some dry conditions. So that might need a little bit of setup change from these drivers, maybe move towards more of a wet setup, higher wings, a little bit of a more stable car, as we'll hop on board with Tortoise coming into turn 1 now. Beautiful line through there. Quite cautious through turn 2 though. You really want to be hammering that inside curb as much as you possibly can. Just careful that it doesn't unsettle the car. Now we're coming along the back straight into turn 4. Again, Tortoise just being a little cautious of the curbs here. This is his banker lap. Oh, he's in lead, so yeah, he's already backed out of this one. Hold on, who can we hop on board with? Marksman. A couple of these guys taking a fair amount of fuel out with them as well, so again, that might be the case that it's going to rain in qualifying. Marksman's run wide there through turn 4, just didn't quite get the nose into the corner, didn't quite get enough rotation on entry, and struggling to get the car turned around. I don't know if that's invalidated his lap, but we will stay on board for the run through down to second gear there for Marksman, and through the long left. Difficult traction zone up the hill, twitch of oversteer for him there. Now another very difficult braking zone, and this is really, you got to be delicate on the brakes around this circuit. A lot of places where it's easy to lock up. Marksman's done a reasonable job here though to get the car turned around and into the final corner, really. It's not the technical final corner, but you know, in regards to F1 cars, it really is the final corner. This entire run to the finish line is completely flat out, and you know that corner is probably the most important corner on the track, because yeah, that lap wasn't validated for Marksman. So yeah, that final corner is probably the most important corner on the circuit. Either that or turn 2, because you carry the exit speed out of there all the way to turn 1, is LGB really struggling to get the nose in. You know, he might have gone for more of a wet setup, and generally when the drivers are, you know, aiming for, you know, building a wet setup in the race, they'll generally put some rear wing on the car and maybe lower the ballast, and that, if you know, don't make any changes from qualifying to the race, if you're still running you know, the regular front wing, because generally what you do is you put the rear wing up, and then if it's a dry qualifying, you might put the front wing up as well to get the balance in the car, and it'll cost you a little bit of time in qualifying, but not as much as you might think. But LGB looking like he had a lot of understeer in that middle sector, and it's a 10-1 for LGB, and that's maybe a little disappointing for him. Certainly expect a better time than that. So yeah, who else have we got on laps? Rumble now coming down into turn 4. Stingray leading the way with a 9.3, contrast in second place in 9.4, and then it's yeah, this is a circuit as well where any mistakes in qualifying are critical. Such a short lap that the drivers will be quite close here in terms of time, as Stingray improves up to a 9.0 on the provisional pole, so he's doing pretty well out there at the moment. See if anybody else is able to challenge that. Rumble has been doing pretty well as of late. He had an absolutely phenomenal race in the USA, picking up second place. So see if he's able to kick on here in Brazil. That was his first podium of the season. So yeah, for Rumble, it's a great opportunity here for him to get another one on the board. I have heard some rumors in the paddock, some general kind of chatter that perhaps Maznat and Dubsy may choose to start from the back. No penalties there or anything like that, but final race of the season, Maznat's clinched the title. Yeah, they may go for this, although considering it's you know, full wet race, then who knows, they might bail out of that strategy so far. But we'll keep an eye on that if Maznat and Dubsy don't end up setting lap times. Dubsy is out there on the circuit at the moment. Currently mowing the lawns out there, just getting that maintenance done on the track. He's clearly had a bit of a moment, but yeah, for these guys, you know, it's final race of the season. They've pretty much dominated the season, you have to say. You know, picking up the vast majority of the wins, all bar 3 between the two of them. So yeah, maybe more of a fun race for the pair, and start from the back and see how much work they can get done. But that does open up opportunities for those and you know, towards the front of the midfield to maybe pick up a podium or even a win. You know, one person that, you know, it's kind of surprising not to see win a race yet this season is Prying Stingray, as he's come back into the pits, and yeah, he'll definitely be looking to grab a win here today. Niplo as well, up in second place. That's a great qualifying lap from him at 9.1. He's only you know, 33 thousandths off of Prying Stingray, so that's a great effort from Niplo up there in the ball on the front row in the Haas. So yeah, he's done a great job to get his car up to there. Spilly there as well, up in 7th place, yet score point this season. So if he can start in 7th place today, that would be a phenomenal result for him. See if he can grab himself some points on the board, but as he's currently on his outlaps on the drivers heading the way out as well. And if you're really quick around Brazil, you can kind of do this at Austria as well. If you're very quick at getting in and out of the pits at the start of the session, just do one lap and then get it straight back in, and you know, don't waste any time in qualifying. You can actually get 3 runs in this 12-minute session. It's very tight on time, but yeah, it is technically possible for the drivers to do that. So Spilly might be the only one that's capable of doing that, and even for him it's going to be quite tight in terms of the timing. But we will hop on board with him around this lap at Brazil, and he's going to come down into turn 1. You look at that board above the track, kind of as your braking point. He goes down to 3rd gear, and a lot of oversteer there through turn 2, just losing the car slightly. Maybe look to short shift through that corner a bit more. It's pretty difficult if you're up there high on the revs to keep the rear end of the car intact. But Yeah, for Spilly, he's currently sitting in P7 with a 9.8, and he's got enough fuel to go for 2 laps. And the other thing about it being a wet race means that, you know, that kind of higher tire wear that I was discussing, you know, planned 2-stop strategy, generally the drivers would be aiming to not take too much life out of the tires in qualifying, maybe only do one run on them because the tire wear is fairly high. But now that it's going to be a wet start to the race, these guys will start on the wet compound tires, so you know, they can put as many laps in on these super softs as they feel they need to. They don't need to worry about keeping them in good condition for the race. So yeah, for these guys, if you have a bit of a scruffy first lap, Spilly might have been in that category. He can now go for a second lap on these tires and you know, really push and really revving the car out in 7th gear as well. Quite a late shift there, trying to get every ounce of performance out of that engine. He hasn't improved, so it's going to be another run through for Spilly, see if he's able to get himself any further up the grid. Who to hop on board with. Wimpernator has got himself up into P3, and found himself in the gravel trap. A little bit of a mistake there. He retires from the session. That's qualifying over for Wimpernator. So he will be at highest P3 on the grid. Chucky now coming through the middle sector as well. Chucky's had a, yeah, he's kind of been, you know, almost there in qualifying for a lot of this season. He started so many races in kind of 11th, 12th, 13th place on a fresh set of tires, but he can't pull that off today. He's not going to get the tire advantage here in the wet conditions at the start of the race. So what is he able to do is he comes up to the line and crosses it. He is P7 at the moment. He jumps up to P3. Great lap from Chucky at 9.1. Grabs himself a couple of positions. Contrast just starting a lap as well. We got Tortoise coming through in towards the end of the second sector, and he'll be, sorry, in the middle of the second sector. I'm getting confused with my corners there. But yeah, he's currently sitting in P7. Needs a big result today if he wants to move up in the championship. There's this Rumble coming towards the line as well. I'm on board with the Ferrari as he's running through. And yeah, currently sitting in P5. What can Rumble do in the final moments of qualifying? We've just got less than 2 minutes left. Most of these guys are on their final runs. Rumble takes the provisional pole. It's a 9 flat. But I think he might need more than that if he's going to hold on to it, because Stingray is out there as well on his final laps. Contrast there, Tortoise has improved up to P6 with a 9.2. Look how close this qualifying session is. The top 6 in only 0.2 of a second. Phenomenal from those guys. Contrast Gearbox doing something utterly bizarre on my screen. That'll just be a spectator glitch. Sure that it's working fine for him, but Contrast in the Renault coming up to the line. He's currently P7. He does improve. Was that just a little bit of start of rain there, maybe in qualifying as well? But he only improves to P6. It's not. It's only up, you know, by a couple hundreds there. Hold on, who we got? We're about Stingray flattening the curb at turn 2, really throwing it through there. And he's actually retired from the session, so he's not able to improve. And now that the rain has started falling, it looks like he's just abandoned the lap. So Stingray at best P2. We could have Rumble on pole here for what I think is the first time this season that he would be on pole position. Niblo coming through the final sector up the hill. Just that sprinkling of rain starting to fall. It'll be taking time out of the track with every passing moment. That's why a lot of these guys were out there slightly earlier than they might normally be. Rumble retires from the second. Can Niblo improve? No, he can't. Contrast, is he on another lap as well? And it looks like he's slightly down on his time. He is. So that is pretty much our qualifying session over, and it's going to be Rumble on pole position. Phenomenal performance from him in qualifying. That rain at the end of the session really getting in the way of these guys' final runs. And yeah, it's Rumble who nailed that final lap. A couple of the other guys struggling. Stingray couldn't get a second run in. So yeah, Rumble capitalizing there with the pole position, and he'll be alongside Stingray at the start. And in a wet race, I've got to say, especially into a turn 1 like Brazil, which, you know, can be quite chaotic. It's a tough braking zone in the opening part of the opening lap of the race. You've got cold tires, cold brakes going in there. It's so easy to lock up on the first lap. It's easy to lock up on any lap going into that corner, to be honest. But yeah, it's so incredibly easy to lock up there. And for starting on pole position, yeah, that's a huge advantage, just getting that clear run into turn 1. You really want to be up there on the front row. And yeah, just something to note, they have gone for it. So Dubsy and Maznat will be starting in the back, and that's not any kind of qualifying ban or issue there. They've just they've just decided to do that because it's the final race of the season, so we'll have some fun watching that pairing work their way through the grid. We'll give you a rundown of the qualifying classification. We've got Rumble on pole position, his first of the season. Stingray in second, Nibble third. Great qualifying from him. Chucky, another fantastic qualifying. P4, Wimpinator in fifth alongside Contrast. Then we've got Tortoise and Entei, 7th and 8th. LJB and Spilly, 9th and 10th. And 11th place, we've got Harry Tomato, Crema in 12th. Marksman, 13th. Rizek, finaling up the grid in 14th. And then the guys that didn't set times will be starting at the back. We've got Dubsy and Maznat are leading two in the championship, and then Fucto's in 17th place. So those guys starting from the very back, they're going to have to be very cautious into turn 1. It's going to be chaos in there. I'm sure that we'll see at least one incident. It's a very, very difficult opening corner. So yeah, those guys' main job will be just to desperately keep those front wings intact. Just know there as well, Wimpinator and Contrast setting the exact same time there in qualifying. Just shows how close some of these guys are on the grid. Look at the rain lashing down here in Sao Paulo. Just, yeah, very, very difficult conditions for the drivers. Wet starts are always tricky. The traction off the line here, it's an uphill start, so traction is going to be even more difficult for the drivers as we ready ourselves to the season finale of Season 2 of PS4 Oceania here on AOR. And it is lights out and away we go, and it's a phenomenal start from Prying Stingray in second place. He's already got the jump on Rumble, and he gets the lead into turn 1. There's side by side the McLaren and the Renault through turn 1. Now they go into 2. Careful through here. Looks, oh, there is contact off at the back, but we do have Chucky making a move on Rumble, possibly through turn 3. He's not able to get that done. Rumble is going to go defensive down towards turn 4, I think. Surely covering the inside he does. Manages to hold on to P2 for now. It's chaos in the background of the middle, well, back of the middle pack. But Stingray grabbing the lead there from Rumble. Nibble right on the back of Chucky as well for P4, but not able to get anything done. These guys, it's almost difficult to see the cars. There's that much spray. Tortoise. Just negotiating this middle sector as well. Main thing through this middle sector, opening lap, make sure that you don't run into the back of someone, as you got a Red Bull and a Sauber side by side there. That's Crema and Spilly. Looks like Spilly has grabbed that place. Two Red Bulls almost running into each other. Got a Renault up the inside there as well. That's Maznat trying to make the move. Early on, him and Dubsy, phenomenal starts. Look at that, up to 11th and 12th already. And I'm seeing here from some of the drivers, hold on a moment. Yeah, okay, everybody's on the intermediate tires, so they made the decision to go for the inters, clearly thinking that the light rain will be coming relatively on the inters. So yeah, we won't get full wet tires here today. LJB down in 13th place at the moment. That's not the start that he would have wanted, as Entei is in the pits. He's broken his wing, and Dubsy in the pits as well with a broken wing. So those guys got to make that early stop. Catastrophe for them in the opening moments here, and yeah, that's not what you want in a wet race in particular, just running into the back of people. I'm assuming into turn 1 for that pairing, as Maznat has cleared Crema. He's up into P9 now with a couple of those pitters. Making light work of the back half of the field at the moment in his Renault. Mazda storming his way through. Contrast in 7th place as well, getting onto the back of Tortoise. Only a couple tenths behind. We'll hop on board. Look at the rain lashing down on these guys. That's especially on the intermediate tires as well. This looks like a little wetter than intermediate conditions, so it's really going to be about tiptoeing through until the rain starts to ease up. It looked very difficult on board with the drivers there. Maznat getting all over the back of Spilly as well, looking very, very quick in these conditions. But yeah, we can sometimes find that as things start to stretch out a little bit as we get further into the race in the wet conditions, that you know, perhaps the drivers will have more trouble passing than they might in the dry. Obviously, there being no DRS, and it's generally easier in the wet to make a move into a corner than it is into well, along the straight. But Maznat is on the back of Spilly now. Spilly in 8th place. Remember, he's not scored a point yet this season, so he's looking for that here today. He's going to move to the outside. Maznat will get the inside line. I don't think Spilly's fighting this one too hard, and he does get the move done into turn 1. Runs a little bit deep. Spilly thinks about the cutback. Oh, he's going to go for it, trying the up and under, but he's just going to struggle a bit on traction. As Entei is retired from the race, what has happened to him? He's in the wall in the middle sector, and his race is over. So Entei out of this one, and he's normally doing fairly well in what races we've seen so far. Sorry, Spilly's managed to get past Maznat. I think Maznat had a moment there on the exit of turn 3, and Spilly reclaims that position. So yeah, for Spilly, if he's able to hold on to 8th place, it'll be hard for him, but yeah, he might jump himself a couple places up in the championship. It's so tight there at the back. Maznat showing the nose on the inside, trying to get the move done in the middle sector. Game not really providing me with the camera angles I want there, but yeah, they're side by side again. Some good racing here between these two, but the outside line for Maznat, that's going to provide him with better traction, and he gets the move done in the middle sector. So Maznat up into P8, and it should be harder for Spilly to fight this one back now. Might expect to see that Renault start to pull away and chase after his teammate. But yeah, up front, look at this. Stingray flying away. 2.4 seconds in the lead after 3 laps. And yeah, looking very comfortable in these wet conditions. We've seen this before. Stingray very quick in the wet. Rumble holding on to P2 at the moment. He lost that lead off of the start of the race, but you know, to be honest, Stingray looks unbelievably quick out here at the moment. So yeah, just be about consolidating P2 for him. Chucky in 3rd, Niplo in 4th. Great positions for those guys at the moment, but Contrast is getting very close to the back of the McLaren here. Tortoise not able to shake off this charging Renault. Contrast we know as well, another quick driver in the wet. We've got Wimpernator up there on the back of Niplo as well. Lots of battling going on. Wimpernator thinking about a move possibly through the middle sector. He's almost going to try it around the outside, or maybe just round slightly deep. He's looking for a bit of a cutback tail end of the car, weaving around there, but he keeps it under control. That might have just cost him an opportunity to have a dive on Niplo, but in these conditions, your main focus is just keeping the thing on the track, and overtaking kind of comes after that. And this group starting to get a bit of a train forming behind the Haas here. That's allowing Maznat to catch up to the back of him. He's reeling them in at probably about a second a lap at the moment, and he's kind of carrying Spilly along with him, who, credit to him, has not really dropped off too much, though I think he's just made a bit of a mistake, just as I say that commentator's curse right there. But Contrast right on the back of the McLaren. Ooh, look at the tail end of the car, all over the place, up the hill. That's always a very difficult traction zone in the wet, and Contrast struggling with that one there, almost put it in the wall. You guys remember back to the 2016 race in Brazil, that was yeah, a lot of drivers having spins up that hill in the very wet conditions. I think we'll see a little bit of that here as well. Got a bit of battle forming here at the back of the points. Crema did just make his way up past LJB. Oh, LJB's broken his wing. That's why he's normally rapid in the wet, but he does have damage. So LJB is maybe going to have to think about a pit stop to get this done. Is Harry Tomato getting the move, possibly on Crema, and he throws it up the inside and gets that position. So Crema dropping back down out of the points. Harry Tomato in his Mercedes up there into 10th place, and hopefully getting a move on and finding himself a couple more. Heading back up to this this train in the midfield right now, and Wimpernator, sorry, has gone past Tortoise. I've missed that, so apologies for that. But he is now up. No, sorry, he was ahead the whole time. Never mind. It was Wimpernator following Niblo. It was Niblo creating a bit of a gap actually that confused me there. So same positions. But Nibble just getting himself outside of that 1 second margin, and yeah, it's quite surprising. He's doing a great job up here in 4th, and Wimpernator, who we've seen be so quick in a lot of the races, struggling to hang on to the back of him at the moment. Now, if these guys, you know, looking at the conditions, the rain is easing up. It's not quite as hard as it was beforehand. But what the drivers have got to think about, they've got to think about the strategy, because you know, this race is, I had an intermediate race here last season, and it was very tight between the 1 and the 2 stop in terms of strategy. Now, we think things might dry up here towards the end of the race, and I would expect to see at least 1 pit stop out of these guys, but it all depends on when that rain comes, when that rain stops. So for the drivers at the moment, they've got to make a decision here. You know, do they pit around about that lap 12 point? point and aim for a two-stop strategy and get a big undercut on the drivers around them, or do they just go to, you know, maybe lap 17, 18 and then play safe and look for that one-stop strategy? I say play it safe. It's very tight on tire wear here in the wet. You know, there were multiple drivers in that race I was mentioning getting punctures on the final laps and dropping out of very high points paying positions. So yeah, these guys have got to be thinking about the tire management as well. It's easy to get caught up in battles like this one that we're watching and you know, smoke your tires. Really, the rear tires are gonna struggle around here, particularly in the wet, but it's so easy to do the damage to them battling away, and then you find that you've got to make an extra pit stop or that you don't have the tire life to make your strategy work. But Wimpinator's not worrying about that at the moment because he's looking for a move on Niblo. Niblo has some phenomenal straight line speed in the Haas, and Wimpinator, he's just kind of showing Niblo he's there, but he's not able to get anything done on the brakes, and he'll look for a bit of an exit through turn 2. He's not able to get that. Look at the rear end twitching around on that car. Niblo's run kind of wide as well, though. That might give Wimpinator the run that he needs. I think he's probably too far back to look for a move into turn 4. He is indeed. So Wimpinator looking very racy through this middle sector, but Niblo with phenomenal straight line speed, and yeah, this train behind Dubsy as well, saying some fastest lap there and down in 15. So he's got lots of work to do, but he's clearly showing some phenomenal pace out there. Quick update up front as well. Stingray just extending that gap to Rumble up to 3 seconds. It's not quite building as fast as it was earlier on, but it is still slowly growing. Chucky up there in 3rd position, holding on very nicely, and he's got a pretty big gap behind him to Niblo, who's got this big train of cars right behind him. So yeah, I mean, what a phenomenal job Chucky is doing at the moment. Without a doubt, this would be his best race of the season if he can hold on to it. As we had Spilly retire from the session from the points, and he's found the wall coming up the hill in the 3rd sector on the what is effectively the main straight, and he's out of this race, and that's cost him an opportunity to grab his first points of the season. Heartbreak here for the Sauber as Harry Tomato sped into the pit lane. I think he had some wing damage there as well, but oh man, Spilly, he's you know, had a great opportunity there to grab some points, and I'm not sure if there was contact perhaps between him and Harry Tomato in the pits for possibly a front wing change, so maybe there was some contact there running up the hill, and that's ended up with Spilly in the wall. I'm sure that we'll hear from him and see what happened. But yeah, that's heartbreak for the Sauber driver, and he will finish the season without that point scoring finish that he was aiming for. But yeah, this battle up front is still continuing. Wimpinator is not able to find a way past Niblo, who's still dropping off the back of Chucky, just not quite able to hang on with the podium sitters at the moment there. But look how close Wimp is getting to the back of him, as we do have a slower car off on the side. Rizek doing a great job of getting out of the way and avoiding the train of cars. It's always difficult if you find yourself in that lap down position to make space. Oh, he's actually found a wall. Yeah, Rizek gets retired from the session, so yeah, he may well have just lost it there in the grass. He was right off of the track, and sorry, Wimpinator side by side coming through turn 2 with Niblo. This is the move he needs to get done. Oh, look at the tail end of both cars sliding around there. Niblo nearly losing it, but Wimpinator does get the position, so he's now up into P4 and can push on. And we got Tortoise showing the nose on Niblo, but he's not quite close enough to get that done. He's got a good traction out of the corner though. Niblo really struggling on that outside. They're going to be side by side into the double right. No, they're not. Tortoise gets the move done. He's up and ahead into P5, so Niblo loses 2 positions in half a lap. Held on for P4 for so long there, but now Wimpinator has got an opportunity to catch up to Chucky, possibly 4.4 behind. We'll keep an eye on that as the race continues. Now Niblo's got to worry about these 2 Renaults behind Contrast and Maznat, who's, you know, looking very, very quick. He's right on the back of his teammate there, starting from the back. He's already up there in 8th place. Great drive from him so far. But yeah, Niblo is just a couple tenths behind Tortoise. He might actually have an opportunity to get a move done, you know, kind of back on Tortoise, re-overtake on the straight, because we've seen his straight line speed so far. And yeah, Dubsy, the highest guy that's made a pit stop as well, 11th place already, despite that wing change. But yeah, He's doing a phenomenal job at the moment. Look at that, Tortoise able to pull away on the straight from Niplo. It's you know, without that DRS, it's very difficult. I expect maybe we may have lost slipstream as well from this race, but yeah, Niplo just twitching around a little bit through turn 3. That's, you know, in the dry conditions, that can, you know, it's barely even a corner. Turn 3 is completely flat out. You hold it to the inside and you know, get the car up into rich engine mixture. But in the wet, it is absolutely treacherous. All these, you know, little sort of you know, kinks in the track that are normally just, you don't even think about them in the dry. Suddenly they're you know, a big worry in the wet. And look at this up ahead, Tortoise hanging on to the back of Wimpernador. So the McLaren here with some great pace, and Wimpernador is sort of catching up to Chucky now as well, who is starting to fall off the back of Rumble a little bit, just struggling to hang on to the front two there. But yeah, Tortoise doing a great job hanging on to Wimpernador, and you know, they are slowly but surely catching Chucky. It's only come down by 7/10 in the last 2 laps. So yeah, catching by a little bit, but not, you know, not scary margins yet for Chucky if he can hang on to those tires. Unfortunately, Ente leaving the session there. He crashed out early on, and yeah, disappointing race for him, the season finale, and he'll have to worry a little bit about you know, some of the guys around him in the championship. Well, I think the only person that's possibly got a chance at overtaking the championship is Harry Tomato, who would need a pretty big result today. He would need a top 6. So yeah, Tomato's got a lot of work to do there, sitting in 14th place. He obviously had to pit for that wing damage. But as we saw in Belgium this season, these races are not over until the checkered flag. You know, don't ever give up in these races, because we've already lost 3 drivers, and I assume, you know, hopefully not, but I assume through the remainder of this race, still 25 laps to go, that we will probably lose a couple more. Very difficult conditions here as well, you know, changing conditions, the rain slowly easing off, and you know, that can create situations. It's hard for the drivers, because, you know, yeah, okay, you're getting more grip and more confidence in the conditions, and you'd think that's okay, you're getting more grip every single time you go through a corner, you're less likely to have an incident with that. But you know, it kind of goes the other way. The drivers, you're not sure how much grip there's going to be when you reach a corner, when the rain starts to ease up. I think it's consistent in the moment, but as the race goes on, sorry, his contrast is getting the move done on Niblo here, and Niblo making a bit of a mistake there towards the end of the second sector, and this is going to offer an opportunity for Maznat as well. But we have seen the straight line speed in that Haas is very, very good. He's hanging on to the back of Contrast pretty well, but Mazda getting onto the back of him, looking for the inside line. He's going to have to be late on the brakes. We see Niblo be very good on the brakes here as Mazda locks that front left, as Contrast has run really, really wide through turn 1. He manages to hold on, but this is going to give an opportunity for Mazda around the outside, possibly through turn 3. The Renaults side by side, Mazda all over the curb. You don't want to be out there. Bit of contact between the 2 Renaults. No team orders at the moment. Contrast hanging it on the inside. They're going to be side by side through turn 4. As Contrast is getting a better line. Mazda just running wide up onto the curb. That compromises his exit. Very, very difficult to get the power down out there. It's a severe lack of traction, and he's lost the position to Contrast, although he's looking for it back possibly. He gets a great run to the double right, but yeah, Contrast, great defensive work there, held that inside line and defends from his teammate. And you know, this point of the season, I mean, Renault have stormed away with the Constructors title. They won that a couple rounds ago. So yeah, these guys are, I don't think there's any reason for team orders here, and these guys are probably going to battle very, very hard. They're good friends, Mazda and Contrast, but to be honest, when you're mates with someone, that means you most certainly do not want to be beaten by them. Don't want to give them those bragging rights. This Stingray is in the pit, so Stingray making an early stop here. That looks to me like it's going to be a 2-stop strategy from our race leader. He is going for another set of the intermediate tires, I'm sure. Well, it wouldn't be the first time we see a bit of a bizarre strategy call in a wet race, as Contrast again runs wide through turn 1, and this will give an opportunity for a switch back. Look for the traction from Maznat around the outside, possibly not quite able to get the power down as well as he would like. He's in the slipstream though, and Contrast is able to gain anything on the straight. No, he's not. Contrast is pulling away. So yeah, a combination, I think, of better straight line speed and a good exit. Maznat showing the nose there again at turn 4, but he's not able to get anything done. And look at this, Stingray's out of the pits behind these guys on fresh tires, up the inside on Niblo, very aggressive, and he gets the position, and he's battling Rumble up there in the lead, so he's going to get moves done pretty quickly. And he's got a pair of you know, sort of battling Renaults in front of him that are not going to want to give any ground. But Stingray has to get these moves done. He's looking up the inside on Maznat possibly as well. That's a bit of a half-hearted move there from Stingray, just showing the nose, letting Maznat know that he's there and that he really wants to get past. But yeah, Maznat is still over the back of Contrast, who is starting to fall away from Tortoise and whatnot. I think this battling is costing them time. But here we go, Stingray on the back of Maznat. He's already made his stop. He's got brand new tires on. They will provide a lot of grip in these conditions compared to the more worn tires of the Renaults. And Stingray is just about going to get this move done on Maznat. He is up ahead. Maznat very late on the brakes. Oh, almost running into the back of his teammate there, but he holds on side by side through turn 2. Just giving Stingray a bit of a squeeze there. Stingray all over the curbs, rear end stepping out, but he does get the move done. Oh no, hold on a moment. He's let off a bit, so I think there was contact there between Stingray and Maznat, possibly, or maybe not, maybe he's just losing the traction because he throws up the inside at turn 4, gets the move done, and Stingray does get the position from Maznat. Maznat really struggling through turn 4. I think he's running wide a lot through there, and just having a hard time getting the car turned in. Is almost looks as if Stingray's car is just sliding through the double right on my screen there. Bit of a drift on. But yeah, he has to get these overtakes done pretty quickly. He can't afford to get, lose too much time battling with these guys, because it looks as if Rumble and Chicky and Whimpernator, Tortoise as well, might be aiming for more of a one-stop strategy. So the two-stop strategy might be quicker on paper, but you've got to get these moves done as fast as you possibly can. Stingray on the back of Contrast now, looking for a move. Oh, look at the traction up the hill around the outside coming towards them. I don't know if that was contact there or just a bit of a scare for Stingray. He had to take to some of the grass out there on the outside, but he is going to be on the outside for turn 1, and Contrast is just not able to hang with him on the brakes. We have seen some troubles for him on the brakes so far in this race, and look at him, he's squirming around on traction as well. So Stingray up into 5th place. Maznat currently sitting in 7th, trying to get a run on his teammate once again. This looks like a better exit for him out of turn 3. Will he throw it down the inside at turn 4? No, he's not going to, but gets a nice line through there. That's better for Maznat. That's the kind of line you want to be taking, but really good exit as well. Gonna have a look at Contrast possibly. No, he backs out of it. So these guys still battling hard, and they're losing quite a lot of time to the guys up ahead of them. You gotta feel if Maznat was able to get through, he might be able to make some ground up towards the front runners, but it's a pretty big gap. 8 seconds is a long way. So yeah, for now, it's more than 8 seconds for this pairing. So it's probably about 10 seconds up to running Tortoise for Maznat. You remember, these guys were right behind them only about 6-7 laps ago. So yeah, these Renaults starting to lose a lot of time. I think they might just be. Well, Contrast might just be stretching his tires out for that one stop, but he seems to be really struggling on them. And yeah, for Maznat, that's very frustrating. It must be, but. Yeah, I'm sure these guys are enjoying the battle. I'm certainly enjoying watching it. Great to see these guys going at it and racing hard with each other. But yeah, Maznat just not able to find a way through. It's looking like for a lot of the drivers, it's really difficult to get a move done unless you've either got fresher tires, as we saw from Stingray, who's absolutely dropped this bear like a stone. His fresher tires making good work out of them. But yeah, it seems like unless you've got fresher tires or the driver in front makes a mistake, that overtaking is very difficult around this circuit in these conditions. The drivers, I don't think they're getting slipstream anymore. We have had a couple people leave the session, so it's likely that slipstream glitch will be in play. But yeah, Maznat is finding it very difficult to get past his teammate. And for these guys as well, obviously they're sharing a pit box, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here in terms of strategy. Maznat looking for a better exit there, but yeah, I mean, who's going to get the first call on pit stops? I mean, Contrast kind of has the control of it. He sees the car ahead, but if I were in that second Renault at the moment, I might be thinking of trying to get some work done on the pits, maybe go for an undercut. Although that exit from Maznat is phenomenal out of the final corner, and he will finally get a good run up towards turn 1. He's looking at the outside at the moment. He's going to switch back to the inside. There we go, looking for the inside on the braking. He is later on the brakes than his teammate, but a lock up there on the front left, struggling to get a That all slowed down correctly. He runs really wide through turn 2, but Contrast is really struggling with the rear end of the car through there, but gets a phenomenal run around the outside at turn 3, maintains the position. So yeah, maybe this will need to come down to some pit lane work here for Maznat, or you know, for Contrast, he might just choose to pit right now and get the undercut and maintain this position and aim to hold it to the end. But yeah, I mean, these guys have been dropped by Prying Stingray by 6 seconds. Unbelievable. Stingray with some just phenomenal pace at the moment, and you know, we think he's going to make an extra stop compared to those guys ahead of him. They're definitely looking at a one-stop strategy out there on lap 17, and you know, possibly the rain will ease up enough for slicks at the end, but we don't know if that will be the case. It's pretty consistent light rain at the moment, great intermediate conditions. These tires are working well. But what, you know, at what point that rain's going to start easing up and whether it'll even hit slick conditions, it's impossible to say at the moment. Drivers will have a little more information on that than we do. Looking a little further back, we got Crema on the back of Fuctos. Now, has Crema made a pit stop? He has, so he's got fresher tires compared to the Haas. Stingray setting the fastest lap as well. Maznat making another move, possibly into turn 1 on the brakes. He is later on the brakes again, slightly ahead, as they're going to be side by side through 1 and now turn 2. As Maznat will have the outside for turn 2, that leads to the inside for turn 3. And I think he's just about got it done. The rear end twitching around a little bit. Can Contrast fight this back? As Crema does get the move past Fuctos, he's out now, back up into the top 10. No, Maznat is up and ahead. And look at this, Dubsy, who's pitted lap 1 for wing damage, has somehow found himself on the back of these two Renaults. That just shows how much time they've lost in this battle. I mean, Dubsy will have very slightly fresher tires, 1 lap fresher, but yeah, I kind of missed that. He, you know, snuck up on them, and he's now up there in P8 and has slightly better tires than these guys, and clearly some unbelievable pace. You know, we've seen this before this season. He's very quick in the wet, is Dubsy, and now Contrast, he's finally been overtaken by one car. He's now got another one coming right up behind him as well, and yeah, Dubsy looking very, very quick at the moment. Looking further ahead, Tortoise still on the back of Whimpernator as these guys carry on, and we're now 19 laps into the race, so yeah, these guys are running very, very long on them, and just look at the conditions. It's looking like the rain is easing up, or is maybe even stopped actually. That happened fairly quickly, so yeah, I mean, Dubsy's absolutely mugged Contrast there, I missed that. That happened in the space of the straight. So yeah, Dubsy up ahead of Contrast then. I thought that move was going to take a little while, but apparently not. It's taken Maznat about 10 laps to get past his teammate. More than that, Dubsy does it in about 1 corner. So yeah, he's clearly got some phenomenal pace here, Dubsy. But yeah, for these guys, that shows why they're hanging on so long on the tires. Clearly hanging it out to the slick conditions, and well, now Stingray, he's taking that gamble. He's made that earlier pit stop. He has to hope that these conditions last for a couple more laps, because you know, those guys that are still out on the tires they started on are going to be right at the limit of grip. I mean, you know, in terms of the tire wear, they're going to be up there in that 70, you know, maybe even up at 80% range. Risk of a puncture happening at this stage in the race. So yeah, for Stingray, he's just going to keep reeling them in and hope that this kind of damp condition lasts long enough. It still looks as if there's maybe some sprinkling of rain, although that might just be the spray off the back of Maznat's car. Wait, Stingray's in the pits again. Is this an early call for slick tires? Maznat carries on, Dubsy carries on, Contrast carries on, so all these guys continuing. Stingray, he's making a massive gamble here. Medium compound tires for Prying Stingray. So he's now made 2 stops where everybody ahead of him hasn't made one yet. As we're seeing Maznat and Dubsy start to stretch their legs ahead of Contrast, and yeah, these guys looking very quick, but there's a big gap ahead of them, 11 seconds. The track still looks very damp, and Stingray, I'm not sure I understand this decision. Stingray is gone for the medium compound tires, but he had the freshest intermediate side of anybody. You would expect he would have the confidence to push on those tires and you know, maybe try to catch up for those guys that are really struggling on their older tires. We'll keep an eye on his lap times and see if he's pretty twitchy there, and see if he's able to haul in any of that gap to Contrast ahead of him, who you got to say is maybe struggling a little bit at this stage of the race, as Tortoise has made his way past Whimpernator as well. I'm just missing all of them today, but apologies for that. But
Oh, hold on a moment. Rumble's had an issue. Rumble's got a front left puncture. He's going to have to pit, and Chucky has mugged him around the outside, and Chucky takes the net lead of this race in his McLaren. Rumble bailing into the pits, and now looks like the pit stop window. They're all in the pits for these, I'm assuming it's slick tires, going for a set of medium compound tires. Those will be the ones that switch on best at this stage of the race. Some of them might go for some softs as well, though. But Rumble, man, he's lost a lot of time from that puncture. But then again, if you're going to get a puncture, it's best to get it on the final corner of your in-lap, as now we have contrast continuing on because Maznat, his teammate, came into the pits. So yeah, Stingray on these medium compound tires, where is he going to come out in relation to these guys? Is he going to get any sort of an undercut? He was a little bit behind Wimpinator and Tortoise just before he pit, and he has gained some on Wimpinator, who's actually on the soft compound tires up the inside, possibly for Stingray. No, he's not able to get that move done, so Wimpinator holds on the soft compound tires. You got to expect the mediums are going to switch on better in these damp conditions. Oh, he's almost into the back of him there as well. Contrast in the lead of the race, but remember, he has not made that pit stop for the medium tires yet, or, well, the slick tires. Oh, Stingray loses the rear end. They're side by side. A lot of contact between the two drivers. I don't think there's any damage there. It almost looked as if it was as much an evasive maneuver as it was an overtake for Stingray. Around the outside, though, and Wimpinator, and he is able to get the car ahead. Those medium tires are very, very racy at the moment as Rumble takes the lead of the race. He's up past Chucky again. So Chucky's had a moment there. He was able to get ahead into the pits, but he might have been jumped in the pits possibly by Rumble with all those cars coming in at once. His contrast is really struggling on those intermediate tires. He maybe should have come into the pits on that last lap and just sort of accepted the time lost in the pits there. But Stingray up into third now on the medium compound tires. He's been on these a lot longer, so they're a little older, but he's going to have more knowledge of these conditions than the drivers around him. Look at him. Oh, he's hit the back of Chucky, and a bit of a spin there. There goes Wimpinator back up into third place. I don't think that Stingray got damage from that. It was very, very close, but just running into the back of him. These medium tires look absolutely rapid in these conditions compared to the softs. Around the outside, possibly a turn 4, bit of contact between the two of them again, battling very, very hard way. Here comes Tortoise as well on the soft compound tires. Wimpinator getting his elbows out there, just kind of pushing Stingray off of the circuit. They're side by side through the double right. Beautiful battling between these two as Wimpinator runs a little bit wide. Stingray cutting the course just to try and leave some space for the Williams on his outside. Not quite sure where he was as Tortoise right on the back of these guys, but look at the traction the Stingray gets up the hill. More contact as well between the two of them. This is getting a bit messy. These guys really getting their elbows out here. Oh, Stingray nearly loses the back end, but he holds on to it, and Wimpinator able to hang on for another lap. And as we get towards drier and drier conditions, those soft compound tires will get quicker. So once this track dries up, Wimpinator should have an advantage possibly for the remainder of the race. So Stingray needs to get this move done now as the fastest laps are tumbling here in Brazil. He goes around the outside into turn 1, late on the brakes. Oh, Wimpinator even later though. He runs a little deep into the corner. Switch back possibly for Stingray around the outside of turn 2, and he gets the move done. Beautiful overtake from the Force India. Absolutely fantastic move there. He's up into P3. He's got Chucky ahead of him, who's sitting in P2. Rumble in P1. Those guys having the races of their lives at the moment, but they've got an absolutely charging Stingray behind them, as Tortoise now on the back of Wimpinator as well. Tortoise was very, very quick in the wet conditions, but we've seen how fast Wimpinator can be in the dry. Let's not count out Maznat and Dubsy here. They're starting to catch up to these guys in front of them on the battling as the track is beginning to dry out a bit. You can really see that it's looking more like a completely dry circuit. You can see as well from the lap time set there. Look at this, 11.6. That's a dry track time, so I think things have dried out completely now, and we will have slick conditions at the end of the race. So this changes things around. This is going to give Wimpinator and Tortoise, and perhaps Chucky as well, on those soft compound tires, the advantage over Stingray and Rumble. Stingray on the back of Chucky though with some phenomenal pace at the moment. Chucky just he's just kind of defending the inside there a little bit, just moving the car over slightly, preventing any kind of huge dive bomb from on the back of these guys as well. But Stingray has a phenomenal exit out of turn 3. He's looking for a move into turn 4. Chucky defending to the inside. Stingray's going to try and hang it all the way around the outside. He did this on Wimpinator as they're side by side through turn 4. A lot of wheel banging between the two cars. Chucky battling this really hard, squeezes him right to the outside of the track. No extra room given there as Stingray flings it up the inside on Chucky, and he's got to give up that position. Here's Wimpinator on the inside as well. He's not able to get that move done. Tortoise on the back of them too, so four-way battle here. Ignore what you're seeing on the stream. It's soft tires for Wimpinator, not the intermediates. He's going to throw it up the inside of Chucky. There's more contact as well between those two drivers. A little bit of a dive bomb there from Wimp. Not able to get the move done as Stingray up there into second place. Now Tortoise on the inside of Wimpinator. This is phenomenal battling, and he's going to give him a bit of a squeeze up the hill, all over the curbs there. Wimpinator holds it on the traction though, but Tortoise has got that move done. Well, we'll see if Wimpinator is able to do anything on the straight towards it. We saw Tortoise had some great straight line speed earlier in the race, and that is showing off right now as he is able to hold on to this position. So Wimpinator not able to get anything done into turn one, and now we've got Tortoise on the back of his teammate, possibly Wimpinator with a phenomenal run through turn two. So yeah, Tortoise going to have to worry about the car behind him as once again Maznat and Dubsy are catching up to these guys. It was 5 seconds to now 1.5. They're absolutely flying. And Wimpinator and Tortoise battling so hard here. Rumble, just a moment for him. He's 4 seconds ahead, up in the lead of Stingray in second place, just a couple seconds ahead of Chucky. Hold on a moment, because we've got Tortoise looking to make a move on his teammate, not able to get that done as Wimpinator trying to hold it around the outside, looking for better traction up the hill. Will he throw it up the inside of the right-hander? He doesn't go for it. And now here we go, championship, our champion, I got used to saying that, Maznat about to join the party here in the battle for the podium. But Chucky hanging on for dear life to this podium. He hasn't had one before in AOR, so he will defend this with everything that he possibly has. No team orders gonna come out here at McLaren. Chucky already looking at the inside as Tortoise with that phenomenal straight line speed trying to look around the outside into turn one. Is he going to be last of the late breakers? I think that he is, but Chucky holds it on the inside. He runs him wide, and he's got to cut the corner at turn two to avoid contact. There's contact though between Wimpinator. Yeah, he's broken his wing here, so Wimpinator has broken his wing on the back of Tortoise, and here comes Maznat around the outside of turn four, looking to get the move done on one of the McLarens. Oh no, there's contact as well. He's forced off of the track by Tortoise, and that gives the opportunity. Here comes Dubsy now, new contender, up in the battle for the podium. This is phenomenal racing, and Dubsy has got to be careful of Wimpinator. He's broken his front wing, so Wimpinator is going to be slower than he normally would, and it would be very easy for Dubsy to run to the back of him. Oh, huge step of oversteer for Dubsy. Holds on to it, and on these soft compound tires as well, his entire group on the softs, and they're battling so hard that Stingray is up and past, and he's just gone, absolutely gone in front of him, almost 5 seconds now. Tortoise has got to find a way past his teammate if he wants any hope of chasing after Stingray. 10 laps remaining of this race. I have no idea what his engine's doing on my screen, but we'll see if Wimpinator heads for the pit lane. I think that he might, and he is going to look for the pit stop. He'll put on a set of super soft tires, get a front wing change, and he's going to have a lot of work to do towards the end of this race as they're side by side up ahead. Tortoise and Chucky going side by side into turn one once again. It's a carbon copy of the last lap, but this time Tortoise backs out, and that might give the opportunity for Dubsy around turn three. He's got a phenomenal exit there in the slipstream. He gets the DRS. A lot of lag going on my screen as Tortoise is going to squeeze him to the inside, but Dubsy making the move on the McLaren. He's not quite able to get it done. They're side by side through turn four. A lot of wheel banging between the two of them as Tortoise is trying to hang on. He'll have the inside line for the double right. We do think of him the advantage as a hold to the inside. Dubsy has got to back out of it there as he throws it up the inside almost. Not going to get a move done there, Dubs, but yeah, he had to back out of that. He was going to get squeezed wide, and he really did not want to be out on that curb on the outside there. It's easy to lose the car, but this four-way battle for the podium continues. Rumble is starting to lose a bit of ground to Stingray, so we'll keep an eye on that. Stingray not giving up any hopes of this win. Yeah, they're both looking for their first wins of the season, but look at this train behind Chucky, who is doing an unbelievable job defending against these guys who you got to see are looking a bit quicker at the moment. But Dubsy now, he started at the back. He had to pit lap one for wing damage. He's battling for the podium somehow here in Brazil, looking at the inside of Tortoise, not able to get anything done on the brakes. And yeah, I mean, these guys, they pitted sort of lap 20, 21. They should make it to the end of these soft tires pretty comfortably. Well, maybe not comfortably, but they should make it. But yeah, I mean, if they're battling this hard constantly for the next 10 laps, who knows? We might see, the next 8 laps, we might see a puncture at some point. Tortoise looking for a bit of a switch back on his teammate there, not able to get it done as Yeah, this battling, I can barely keep up with it. Just so much going on. Tortoise practically pushing his teammate through the double right. He defends to the inside. Chucky, what a phenomenal job he's doing right now. Can he hang on to this until the end of the race? What an incredible defensive drive that would be. As Dubsy looking to the inside on Tortoise, but he's not really far enough alongside to warrant the space there. It kind of closes the door on him a bit, and this will give an opportunity possibly for Maznat to look at Dubsy. But once again, Tortoise is so quick through the latter half of that second sector. He's right up on the back of Chucky again. Chucky's going to defend this to the inside once more, and for Tortoise, he's got to possibly look for something different. Oh, a bit of contact there between the two of them, and Chucky's giving him the squeeze. He goes to the inside possibly. No, Chucky defends the inside, covers it off. Tried to switch back there. Tortoise realized he needed to do something a little bit different if he wants to get past his teammate, but Chucky defending, very smart defending, and yeah, I mean, I guess that counts as one move. Bit of lag coming off his car for me as well. Dubsy up on his inside, possibly through turn 4, really going at it. He squeezes Tortoise wide on the curb, and has that broken Maznat's wing? I don't think that it has, but Dubsy now up into P4. He grabs that position, so capitalizing off of a poor exit through turn 3, and oh, Tortoise up the inside on Dubs, and they're side by side coming through the middle sector as we got an AI car. Thankfully that's ghosted, but that'll be a bit distracting for the drivers, and Dubsy is able to hang on to the position. Contact between Maznat and Tortoise behind. Carefully, don't break your wings, boys. Already saw Whimpernator do that. Maznat right on the back of him here, and is Dubsy now going to be the new challenger for Chucky? Chucky seems to be really struggling towards the end of this second sector, the start of the third sector, up this the final kind of corner up the hill. He's losing a lot of time there to the cars behind him, and that's giving everybody a good run on him. But Dubsy now going to look for a move. He's going to the outside, getting a bit of a squeeze there from Chucky. Once again, we'll try and hold it, but Dubsy is extremely late on the brakes. He's got the move done, and Dubsy now up into the podium. He does in one lap what Tortoise couldn't do in about 6 or 7. He gets the place from Chucky, and now Maznat on the back of Tortoise as well, but we've seen this Tortoise with the straight line speed, unbelievable from him, and Maznat just got to hang on for the moment. But Chucky, he's starting to struggle. Well, I say starting, he's been struggling for a little while, to be honest, perhaps on his tires as well. As Tortoise, look how quick he is through there. Does oh, Chucky has wing damage. That's why he's struggling so much. Sorry, I missed that earlier on. So Chucky with a bit of front wing damage is why perhaps he's falling so far off the back of Prying Stingray, and that'll allow Dubsy to storm away. Dubsy 16th with an extra pit stop up to 3rd. Unbelievable. Or at least, well, maybe not an extra pit stop, but with a wing change up to 3rd. What a drive from him here today. But Tortoise and Maznat have got to find a way past this leading McLaren at the moment if they want any hope of battling for that podium with Dubsy. Only 5 laps remaining here in Brazil, and what an absolutely incredible race this has been for these guys. But Tortoise once again looking for the move into turn 1. His teammate, he doesn't want to go to the outside. He's kind of hoping and praying that a gap will open up on the inside, but once again Chucky defends that inside, just kind of runs him a little bit wide, and that's going to allow an opportunity for Maznat on the inside. There's contact between the two of them. They're locked together. Bit of a side pod glitch there. I don't think there was damage, but scary moment for these two. I thought I was going to see them both off into the wall with a double retirement, but they hang on, and yeah, these McLarens defending very hard at the moment. Maznat cannot find a way through. He's been struggling to overtake all race long. We saw him jam behind his teammate for such a long time, and seems like Dubsy may be running a slightly better setup for the race here. He's you know, maybe gone for a lower downforce setup, and while Maznat was very quick in the wet, he just doesn't have the speed maybe on the straights to get the moves done, whereas Dubsy was able to get it done more easily. So yeah, maybe he was banking on this dry condition towards the end of the race. Dubs is paying off big time for him. He's driving beautifully with it, but once again Chucky struggling with the final part of this infield section. Tortoise will once again have a run towards turn 1, but I think we've seen this before. Tortoise is going to have to go around the outside because Chucky will defend the inside. You see him getting up close to that wall. He's trying something a bit different here, Tortoise. He's going for the cutback. Chucky's run deep on the brakes, and they're side by side. The McLarens push each other off of the circuit. This will give an opportunity for Maznat. No, there's contact on the inside. Maznat is off in the wall, and he is out of the race. Caught 3 wide. There's contact between the two McLarens there on the inside, and Maznat his final race of the season. What a phenomenal season he's had, but he is out of it in the wall, and yeah, disappointing DNF for the Renault driver here. But wow, contact between the two McLarens are battling so hard, and you know, Chucky still somehow in P4. I have no idea how he's managed it. He really gave Tortoise the squeeze. I'm not really sure that was intentional, but you know, it's so difficult to go side by side through there. The rear end of the car really steps out through turn 1. But hold on a moment. We thought we were getting some respite on battling, but perhaps not. Stingray has put in a phenomenal stint in the latter part of this race, and he has caught up to Rumble. Now they're within the DRS in the final laps here in Brazil, so we will have a battle for the lead. These guys on the medium compound tires, they will definitely go to the end with no issue. And yeah, Stingray, he's going to look for a move here on Rumble. Neither of these drivers have won a race this season. Both of them have had second places, but for these guys, they will desperately want their first win. They've been leading pretty much the whole way in this race, but Rumble making one fewer pit stop than Stingray. Stingray took a bit of a gamble. Well, maybe it wasn't a gamble, maybe it was the safe option, I guess, making that earlier pit stop, but he's now caught up onto the back of Rumble. We've seen this all race long. The Stingray has a phenomenal pace, and maybe a little bit of the pace on Rumble, so yeah, Rumble's going to have to pull off something special in defending here if he wants to hang on to this win. As he's just 4 tenths behind now, coming along the main straight. And as we've seen from the battles with the McLarens between Chucky and Tortoise, it's definitely the beneficial move to defend the inside into turn 1 and then just kind of squeeze him a little bit through the corner and compromise their run for turn 2, and then you can hang around the outside of turn 2 hopefully. Oh! Contrast is lagged out of the session from P6, and he was just catching up onto the back of Tortoise as well, so Contrast is gone from this race. He's disconnected. That's not a retirement or you know, an incident. He's just straight disconnected from the race. Connection letting up on him. So yeah, what was looking like a pretty solid comeback in the drive from Contrast. He kind of struggled in the wet, you've got to say, but yeah, he was on there for P6. That'll promote Wimpinator despite his extra pit stop back up into P6. You could be surprised at that, but yeah, field somewhat spread out now. Crema and LGB battling there down at the back end of the point. Sorry to those guys that are battling there lower down. There's just so much going on up at the front. I couldn't even have a moment to look at it. But Stingray is 5 tenths behind Rumble as they're coming along the back straight. He's got 2 more laps after this one to line up the move and get it done on Rumble. Rumble is going to have to defend with everything that he has to hold on to this win. Stingray later on the brace, he closes up. That kind of concertina effect under braking, and Stingray has been absolutely nailing the curb at turn 2 all race long. He's getting right up there. He's still staying on the track. He's you know, just right up on that white line. That's exactly where you want to be, so long as you don't get that rear end of the car kicking out. Maybe a little bit of a lift as you go across the curb, just to help you know, keep the rear end of the car stable. But yeah, Stingray all over the back of Rumble here in the closing laps, their first wins of the season, and I'm sure the nerves will be very high for both of these, especially for Rumble leading. Don't want to throw away this win. Contrast gets himself back into the race in P7, so he'll be able to continue and probably pick up that position. But Stingray all over the back of Rumble now, and this is a test of his nerve. Can he hang on to this lead and take his first win in AOR, possibly? Or will Stingray snatch it away from him? This is going to be the last really good opportunity, I think, for Stingray coming on to the final lap of the race. He's in the slipstream behind Rumble. He does have the DRS open behind him, but Rumble is far enough ahead. The Stingray won't. Oh no, he goes for a huge dive bomb up the inside. There's contact between the two of them. He's spun the Ferrari round, and I think that Rumble just about hold on. I don't know about this, but he's completing the move now as well, so I'm not sure Rumble will be very happy with that. Stingray defending the inside. I'm sure Steers might have something to say. Is he going to try and hold it around the outside of turn 4? No, not quite. Stingray's better on the brakes and holds it up the inside, but I'm sure there'll be something said in the stewards about that. I don't think it was a very clean overtake from Stingray. Definitely caused some contact there. They're going to be battling through this middle sector. Rumble's going to want to get this done on the circuit as he's coming around towards the tight right-hander. Stingray losing the rear end a little bit through there. Rumble trying to hold around the outside, but he's not able to get that done. He's going to look for something here, some kind of miracle move in the last part of this lap. Huge moment of oversteer. Oh, Rumble, he's lost the car, pushed too hard, and I think that'll give it to Stingray on track. But I don't know if that will stand, because Stingray definitely made contact there into turn 1, and I'm sure we'll hear something in the stewards about it. But yeah, it looks like Stingray will cross the line first and will at least officially take the win for right now. So Stingray gonna cross the line, and what a great drive he's had today, despite that sort of last lap contact there. He's had a phenomenal drive, made that extra pit stop, and he will take the win here in Brazil. Will he does. Rumble had a penalty, and hold on a moment, where will Dubsy finish up? If he doesn't have penalties, no, he holds on to P3. Chucky in P4, that will be his best result of the season, but you've got to wonder, if he didn't get that wing damage, could it have been a first podium of the season for Chucky? But that will propel him up above Stewart in the Drivers' Championship. Oh, Tortoise nabs it off him on penalties. Chucky gets P5. That's still a strong result for him. Wimbledon in 6th. LGB, I feel like I've barely seen LGB in this race, to be honest. I think he's had a fairly eventful race as well. There's been so much going on in front of him. But he picks up P7. Contrast grabs 8th. Crema in 9th. And Harry Tomato will pick up the final point of the session, although possibly on penalties, maybe Niblo will nab it. We'll keep an eye on this. Tomato crosses the line in P10. Niblo doesn't get it, so Tomato gets the final point. But wow, what a race. What an incredible race here in Brazil. Absolute chaos all race long. Incredible battling. That 4-car battle for 3rd place in that final stint was unbelievable. And yeah, then that final lap move, I'm sure that'll end up in the stewards. I'm convinced of it, but we'll see. It was a phenomenal race from both those guys up front anyway. Stingray with that extra stop had phenomenal pace on those intermediate tires, and then was able to just push on and catch Rumble in those final laps and gets the move done. So he wins it on track. It's Stingray, your winner here, his first of the season. Rumble in 2nd place. Dubsy with the broken wing for the back of the grid, 3rd place. Phenomenal drive from the Ferrari driver there. Really, really excellent drive from him. Tortoise in 4th. Chucky in 5th. Brilliant race from him, and his best result of the season. Wimpernator in 6th place. LGB 7th. Contrast 8th. Crema in 9th. And Harry Tomato in 10th place. Niblo just missing out on the points. Then we had quite a few drivers disconnect or crash, but Fuctos was 12th. Maznat obviously crashing out of the session there as well, involved in that incident with the McLarens. And then Rizek, he crashed out earlier on in the race. He had a bit of a moment there, trying to let the cars through, ended up on the grass, and then I think just lost the rear underneath him. But yeah, unfortunate end for Rizek there. He's had a bit of a tough season, but for him, he will hang on to 16th place, as none of the guys behind him grab points today. So yeah, I think that he'll be somewhat happy with that. But yeah, God, what a race from these guys. Unbelievable battling all the way through that race. Just yeah, just absolute carnage in that final stint, and really, really hard defending from a lot of guys. I mean, we especially saw that from Chucky, really getting his elbows out and, giving, not really giving an inch to his teammate, to be honest. So certainly no team orders there at McLaren. It'll be interesting to see if those guys want to team up again for next season. I think maybe after today's race, they'll perhaps reconsider that. Might be a bit of frustration there in the McLaren garage between the two of them. Chucky with that front wing damage, but he had opportunity to grab his first podium of the season. He battled incredibly hard for it, and P5 for him is an excellent result. That will promote him up to 13th in the championship ahead of Stewart. As well, Stingray's result here today will promote him up to 5th ahead of Stylin, who unfortunately missed this race. And I think that will Rumble grab a place. I think Rumble might nab a place off of Wimpinator and maybe Tortoise as well. Actually, perhaps not Tortoise, but possibly Wimpinator. He'll nab a place. We'll have to see what happens in the stewards after this race. I'm sure that we'll have a couple of inquiries, maybe more than that. There's several moments of contact and drivers being run off, and it's always a fine line between the kind of hard racing and squeezing someone to the edge of the limit, or squeezing somebody kind of over the limit for those guys. But
Yeah, unbelievable to watch from these guys. I mean, it was a, you know, there might be some frustration in the lobby, but it was certainly entertaining, no doubting that. But that is the final race of the season. What a season finale it was! Great way to finish things up. It's the last race of season 2 here, PS4 Oceania, and season 3 will be coming in the future. That will be on F1 2018. Information hasn't quite been announced on that yet, but just keep your eyes peeled. Have a check up on the forums every so often. I'm sure that you hear about it on the Twitter as well. Make sure you're following the AOR account there for info relating to season 16. And season 16 will be running at the same time as season 3 of Oceania. Obviously, Oceania just starting on F1 2017, so. Yeah, that's why it's season 2 rather than sort of season 15 right now. But yeah, keep an eye on that for information. You know, sort of relating to league racing on F1 2018 with us. If you want to watch more racing here on the AOR channel, then always make sure to check out the Xbox stream that happened at the same time. That's you know, always provides some good racing. And then we've got the season finales of the European leagues tonight, 8 p.m. UK time. And that's going to be the top tiers from PC, PS4, and Xbox. We've got a couple of great championship battles in the F2 tiers, not in the F1 tiers. All those championships have been decided, but we got a battle on PS4 between Tactician and Iceman, and then we got a three-way battle in PC F2 between I believe it is Smash, Gert, and a Slick, I think. But yeah, those guys have been battling all season long, and yeah, great to see those guys go at it one final time here in Brazil. But yeah, make sure you catch those races tonight, 8 p.m. UK time, and after that will be a bit of a quiet period in terms of F1 content on the AOR channel. I'll take a little bit of a break as you know, the drivers take a bit of a rest, and who knows, maybe do some beta testing. Before F1 2018 comes out, and then once F1 2018 comes out, there'll be lots of information relating to league races, and hopefully we can get things up and running fairly soon, and you know, get things underway pretty quickly after that game comes out, and get everybody racing once again on a brand new game, and hopefully a game with one or two fewer issues. But yeah, you know, certainly saw some interesting racing here today, and very hard defending. But it's been a pleasure commentating this season, and certainly this race today. A brilliant season finale, and yeah, I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday.